Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. As some of you might notice, some companies including T-Motor and Geprc are now offering the option of purchasing an almost ready-to-fly quadcopter, which still requires you to add an FPV system and in some cases a radio receiver. One of the reasons behind it, at least in my opinion, is that besides it enables the user to use a video transmitter according to their choice, as far as I know, currently the Caddx Vista system is out of stock, and that might be the reason that in case you ordered a ready-to-fly quadcopter that is using it, your order might be delayed. According to that, in case you would like to join the hype train and get one of the micro long-range HD 4-inch digital quadcopters, which might actually be the reason the Vista is out of stock, your best option will be probably to buy an almost ready-to-fly quadcopter and add an existing Vista kit that you might have, or maybe even get the Nebula kit and use an existing DJI camera. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to show you how to configure and install the Caddx Vista system and the TBS Crossfire Nano SE receiver on the Geprc Crocodile baby, and on an upcoming video, I'm going to show you how to do the same on the new T-Motor FT5 5-inch freestyle almost ready-to-fly quadcopter. The first thing that you need to do, which is in my opinion a golden rule when handling a quadcopter on the bench, is to make sure that the propellers are removed. Then, in order to properly access the all-in-one flight controller, using a 1.5mm hex key driver, remove the top plate. Since these empty screws can get lost pretty easily, I recommend to use a magnetic ball in order to make sure that they are not going to get lost. As you can see, in order to make your life a little bit easier, Geprc pre-soldered the wires that you need to solder to the Vista transmission unit to the R1, T1, ground and battery pads, and in addition you can also find this plug which you can connect to an S-Bus receiver. I have a separate video about the Caddx Vista system, but here is a quick reminder. The right pad is the VCC pad, and the Vista can be powered directly with up to 6 S batteries. Then you can find the ground pad, RX pad, TX pad, ground pad, and S-Bus pad, which you should use in case you are using the DJI radio controller. In addition, it's worth mentioning that the RX pad on the Vista should be wired to the TX pad on the flight controller, and vice versa. Now, after covering the flight controller in order to protect it, trim the pre-soldered wires of the Vista and pre-tin their exposed ends and the relevant pads on the Vista with solder. Then carefully solder the wires to the Vista. Then using the IPX connector, connect the antenna to the Vista transmission unit, and I think that that's a good opportunity to remind you that you should never power a video transmitter without connecting an antenna. Finally, using the provided screws, mount the Vista transmission unit to the top plate. Now, after installing the Caddx Vista, let's install the TBS Crossfire Nano receiver. First, carefully unsolder the servo connector, and then again carefully solder the Crossfire Nano receiver in the following manner. I recommend to use a heat shrink in order to protect and isolate the nano receiver, but before that I recommend to bind the radio receiver with the radio controller. Finally, using the provided 3D printed TPU mount the Immortal T antenna to the baby Crocodile and put back the top plate. The next thing that you need to do, in case you haven't done it already, using the DJI Assistant 2 tool, activate the Caddx Vista, update it to the latest available version, and bind it with your DJI goggles. While the radio receiver is going to be powered up when the flight controller is going to be powered using the micro USB port, the Vista needs to be powered using a battery, and I recommend that before powering the quadcopter for the first time, either use a multimeter, smoke stopper, or this type of short saver device in order to make sure that there is no short circuit and you are not going to encounter the infamous magic smoke. Finally, the last step is to connect the flight controller to Betaflight using a computer or a mobile device. The port section is going to be configured in the following manner. The serial RX switch is enabled on UART2, which is connected to the radio receiver. The configuration/MSP switch is enabled on UART1, which is connected to the Vista unit. And on this specific quadcopter, the soft serial is enabled and the GPS device is connected to soft serial 1. In case you are using a Crossfire receiver, you should set the serial receiver provider, which is by default set to S-Bus, to Crossfire. Save and reboot the flight controller, and make sure that all the sticks and switches are working properly. One more thing that you should do is to make sure that you are getting the drone battery voltage on your DJI goggles, as otherwise it probably indicates that the Vista wasn't wired properly, and the most common error is that you switched between the RX and TX pads. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I hope it was informative enough, but of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments section down below, and I will do my best to help you out. As for the Geprc Crocodile baby, the full review should be out in the next few days, so stay tuned. As always, I thank you for watching my video, I hope you enjoyed it and you find it useful. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notifications bell if you're not already subscribed. See you on my next videos, and goodbye.